What is up, everyone? My name is Mr. Nicanor. Welcome to Meet the Teacher-Nut. We are here. Let's do this. Tonight you're going to be hearing some of my assessment pieces, my expectations, my classroom routine, and also my philosophy of education. And you'll be hearing it through the kids' voices. I'm excited to hear that. Let's roll. Okay, let's talk Blue Notes for a second. I don't want them. They don't want them, and you don't want them. What it is a reminder that they weren't able to get their agenda signed. And remember, the agenda is their responsibility, not yours. They should bring it to you. Assignments that they weren't able to finish, or just not being ready for school. And so that's what the Blue Notes are. It's an organizational tool and keeps them on track just by reminding them. We don't want any of them, and especially we don't want a lot of them. And if they do have a lot of them, you and I might have to have a conversation. Let's avoid that by keeping them on track. So if we're talking to two about formative and summative feedback, let's talk about formative first. Formative would, let's say it is the practice. And if it's practice, they're the smaller assignments that lead on towards the summative. And so in these practices, think of me as the coach, giving feedback to where they need it, to where they need to work on. I would design specific drills or different areas of skill that they need to focus on in order for them to be ready for that summative. So think of me giving them feedback, and they need to learn from that feedback. If the summative then would be the big game and the marks count for the actual report card, then that means the learning happens in the formative section, because that's when I give them feedback and that's where they grow from it. I would design very specific skill targeting activities or assignments that they can then hone and craft for them to master. And by the time that they get to the big game, that's when they put everything together. So you see, the learning happens in the process, and the product of the summative is basically the finished reflection of their learning. To further illustrate my approach to learning, let's have this red line represent the final product. When I ask students to complete assignments for me, I ask them to start from their starting point and get to the final product. Now, with different learning styles and learning needs, every student has a different starting point. Some will take a little bit longer to get there, while others will take a little shorter time to get there. But do you know what? They end up at the exact same final product. And as a parent, and I'm guilty of this, we usually remark and comment only when we have the final product. But it's actually in the process, everything before the final product, where we have our critical thinking, our creative thinking, the growth from our feedback. All of this happens in the process. So all the learning happens before the final product. And this is what I want to highlight. It's that the process is as, if not more important than the product.
A formative assignment is practice. The teacher can give you feedback, which you can use that feedback to improve in the summative assignment.
For example, I was at a basketball practice when my coach gave me feedback on what I should do better next time. On the next game, we won the game and learned from my formative.
Summative is a challenge for me that I work towards in my formative practice. For example, when I'm doing a ballet show, I take all the important feedback and use them to make my moves better.
I like doing summative assignments because they give me a chance to learn from any mistakes I may have made in a formative assignment and do well.
I like formative and summative because it's just like a hockey practice. I could try any techniques or any drills, and if it works, I'm allowed to try it in a summative game.
I like formative and summative because if you make a mistake on the formative, you can learn from it and do better on the summative.
I like formative and summative because if I make a mistake on the formative, it won't count to my grade, and I can learn from that mistake and I won't make that mistake again in the summative.
What I like about formative and summative is that with formative, I can learn from my mistakes, and then I can put everything I learned into my summative assignments.
We like formative and summative because you can always learn from your formative and do well in summative.
For example, usually when you're studying for a test, you get graded right or wrong and may or may not get feedback. With formative and summative, you don't get graded for the report card, you get feedback and improve for the summative.
Now that you learn more about summative and formative, you should learn from your formative and you might do amazing in your summative.
I like formative and summative because I cannot succeed on a formative and use all of Mr. Nicanor's feedback and apply it on summative.
For example, during a basketball practice, when I do super bad, I could get feedback from my coach and do super well during the game.
Think of the athletes that we've known throughout all of history, those game-defining moments in playoffs, in Game 7, or whatever it might be. that they didn't just show up to those games and just say, I'm just gonna do this. No. In their practice times of days and hours of grueling practices, working on specific skills and specific drills, think of it that way, that they never got to the status of greatness without putting in the time and work and learning from what they need to get better, making sure that their weaknesses are supported, that they get stronger and stronger in every aspect, so that they would be defined by those big game moments in their summative. Now let's start talking about the student competency scale. This is going to be my approach to assessment. Basically that means, what kind of marks am I giving your child? Before I came to Shaughnessy, I taught at an IB school, which is an international baccalaureate school, and they had an 8-point scale. What I did was, I melded the two, the 8-point scale and the student competency scale, to have a comprehensive and more robust assessment system. What that means is that beginning is now tied to achievement level 1 and 2, achievement level 3 and 4 is with developing, applying is now with achievement level 5, 6, and extending is with achievement level 7, 8. Now, the first thought is when you see these achievement level numbers is that you think it's a mark out of 8. So a 4 would be 4 out of 8. That is just not the case. Or at the same time, a 7 is a 7 out of 8. That is not what an achievement level is. When you see these achievement levels, they're indicators or literal achievement levels of how much your child understands the concepts that have been presented to them. So for example, if they achieve an achievement level 1 or 2, it means that they're still trying to understand the concept and they need a lot of help to get there. Whereas a 3 and 4, they need just a little bit more help from the teacher to understand the concept independently. Whereas 5, 6, which is applying, is that they can apply all the concepts independently from the teacher, and the key word is consistently. And 7, 8 is that they go above and beyond what is expected of them. So once again, you are tied very nicely with the old student competency scales, B, D, A, E.
One of my goals this year is to improve on my punctuation, since I struggle to understand how to use commas, apostrophes, colons, and etc. in sentences.
I will try my best by doing better than I was asked to.
You will make our parents proud by striving to be our best selves.
I want to read a lot, and I also want to make friends with all my classmates, and I want to nail math, and I want to be the greatest at Pranville High School, and then be good all the way to university.
Here are some of our goals this year.
My goal this year is to be a better version of myself each and every day by pushing the boundaries on every subject.
My goal this year is to push myself to the limit and challenge myself every day and thinking out of the box.
My goal this year is to push myself as hard as I can to the next level and be better than before.
And my goal this year is to try my best to read every day for 1 hour. I'll do this by always having a schedule, including reading. This will also help my writing skills.
Our goal this year is to read more books.
We will try our best to read every day.
We will make our parents proud by showing them how many books we have read.
My goal for this year is to try and do every assignment.
My goal this year is to read more books.
My goal this year is to do the best when I'm doing my work.
I'll try my best by paying attention when Mr. Niconor was talking.
I will challenge myself harder than ever before on literature.
I'm going to try my best to study, listen, and improve this year.
My goal this year is to try my best for everything, and I will do that by listening to Mr. Niconor's feedback.
This year, I will try my best by applying Mr. Niconor's feedback from formative assignments to my summative ones and always being prepared.
My goal this year is to try my best and also participate in each and every possible way.
Mom and Dad, I'll try to make you proud by going over expectations on almost every assignment.
A life lesson that Mr. Niconor told me is that a life is a collection of choices. So I'm gonna make great choices in my future so that I can go to a right path.
I learned that you have to make good choices in your life to make you better, not bitter.
One thing that we learned from Mr. Niconor is
that you don't have to be the best, but just be better than yesterday.
Something I've learned from Mr. Niconor this year is that you can't base your life on your grades, and your worth is not on a piece of paper. So you shouldn't say you're a failure if you tripped up on a test. Instead, you should learn from your mistakes and do your best to improve.
Alright, that's it for Meet the Teachers Night. I'm pretty sure I'll make another video sometime soon, and I'll see you there.
My goal this year is to contribute each
Our goal this year is to read more books.
We will try our best and read every day.
We will try. I learned that you have to make good choices in your life to make you better.
Bitter.
These are some of our goals this year.
My goal this year is to develop my English and push myself every day to the limit.
I wasn't doing anything.